Waiter! Nothing says vacation over quite like seeing you again, you big-breathy bummer.
Welcome back, my master. How was the singles cruise?
Well, let's just say there wasn't a cloud in the sky, which was confusing since it was raining chick.
Wait a second. If all of you are standing here, who's manning the battle stations?
Yeah, we didn't really think about that.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to, can you believe it, another last Wednesday of the month, our third Open Mic Night. So I welcome everybody to join in. I got the link in the chat there. So being that this is, of course, our Open Mic Night, I think we should begin with the Open Mic Night celebration. And we seem to have our first two victims. And here are super wrench that I have. You're not a Fez today, but John Rendell is here. And of course, the old man has joined us. Welcome, everybody, to Open Mic Night. Oh, and of course, one more coming in here, the very special and very good and lovely Wendy Webb, trauma warrior herself.
Oh, look at me. I'm here with all these good-looking gentlemen. How are you doing?
Sure you're on the right stream?
I heard that, and I don't believe it.
This is a vodka.
Okay. I knew it. It had to be.
Yep.
Welcome,
How you guys
everybody.
doing?
All right. How's everything?
Very good. Been kind of busy the last few days, but good.
Yeah.
How about you?
Well, so far so good.
Old man, how have you been?
Well, the doctor gave me a good bill of health and signed me back up so I can have my O2.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Well, when I
That's
went in
important.
at 85, and then they slammed the O2
Oh.
on me, and I went up to 97.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a day
My
maker.
dad's been having a problem with his O2. My dad's been having a problem with his O2 sats lately.
Oh no.
He, yeah, his have been down in the low 90s. He has congestive heart failure.
Ah,
It's really hard for him. So
mine's COPD.
COPD. Yeah. As a smoker, that's the route I've chosen as well.
Yeah, I'm there. Chronic bronchitis.
Yeah.
I had that all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah. I've had
Really?
it since boot camp in 1984.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and that
Wow.
was before I smoked.
Mm.
And that was just something that, and it almost got me murdered one night because I couldn't stop coughing. And you're in the barracks with about 80 other guys, and they all want to sleep.
Right.
Reveille comes when
Yeah.
they tell you it comes, and that could be 3 o'clock or the next Tuesday. Who knows?
That sounds like you were in the old World War II barracks.
Let's see. At Great Lakes, it's entirely possible. It was Building 11.
The wood frame and second floor.
We were on the second floor. I don't think it was wood frame though. I think it was masonry and steel. But it was near the chain link fence where you look over and you can see the railroad tracks, and you can watch the trains go by, which is what kept me sane. But yeah, that was, and it was one of the farthest from the chow hall, which I believe was in the center of the place. But from what I've seen on Google Maps, they've knocked a whole lot of stuff down, changed a whole lot of stuff. It's not what it used to was. And when I got to Groton to the sub base, we had gotten there. I think it was a week before they started tearing down all the World War II barracks. And they had the brand new one there. That's where I found out I had the claustrophobia when the elevator stopped, when going up the pool cues, a pool rack around my neck, a handful of balls. The elevator stops, lights go out, and of course I freaked. So
and ended any career you had in the Marine Corps. That ended any chances of you being in the submarine corps.
I was actually set up for that. I was in submarine school, and I got lucky on a few things. If you remember the large tower that they would put you in an airlock in the bottom, and you had to swim up. And the idea was you keep exhaling or your lungs will explode. Well, they had closed that down 3 days before I got there. And I was thanking God every day for that because I didn't want to go up that thing. And then I guess later on they reopened it. But there was an office still active in the bottom. And I had been working part-time in a warrant officer's office. It was medical records.
Uh-huh.
And I had to run these records over to that office. And I walked in, and there's a plaque on the wall that says death toll. And it lists everybody who died in that thing. And it's like, oh my God, I dodged a bullet.
Yeah. And you must have been in some pretty hairy stuff yourself.
Yeah, it was interesting, but I was not prepared for the real world at that point. And the fact that we had just gone through the bombing in, what was it, Lebanon or Libya? I can never tell them apart. Lebanon.
Lebanon.
Yeah.
Yeah, excuse me. The one where the Marine barracks got hit. And everything was high security. Every day they changed the rules. And, it just became agonizingly difficult to keep straight on everything. The only good part was the enlisted men's club because they had good bands in there and good beer. But
there we go.
There was a band that did a cover of Panama from Van Halen. And of course, the lead singer being a joker, he kept singing Enema. That was bizarre, hilarious, weird, and scary. Fun.
There you go. There you go, Wendy. There's a new one for you guys to have for in the trauma room, singing "Anima." Anima.
Yeah.
Wendy, you have got to have some really great stories about your career.
Hmm.
Yeah. A lot of them are pretty gory, though. I don't know how much that people like to hear that, but we actually had on Friday. We had a guy. It was a young man. He was 20 years old. He was on his way to work Friday morning. He saw a lady that had broke down on the side of the road, so he got out to help her. And apparently, he was under the hood of her car. Her car got hit by another car and pushed and crushed him between
Crap.
his pelvis. His pelvis was completely pulverized. His right leg was traumatically amputated on the scene. Well, he
Yeah.
wasn't bleeding, hardly any blood loss.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what we realized fairly quickly was his pelvis was so crushed that it kinked off his iliac vessels, so
Yeah.
that he had no bleeding below his waist. And there was nothing. We have an orthopedic surgeon that all he specializes in. The only thing he does, because we're a big trauma hospital, all he does is pelvic fractures. That's his specialty. He took one look at that X-ray and said, "No, it can't happen." We told the family what was going on because the parents came in, and we ended up having to cut. Basically, we amputated him at the waist.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
took everything below his waist. It's called a hemicorporectomy,
Oh, God.
or it's also known as a translumbar
We're getting some
amputation.
kind of feedback in here, too.
Yeah.
Huh?
And it's things like that that make me ashamed to complain about the price of gas.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, I really feel for the guy because I had a similar incident back in '89. I was driving down 81 in a car I'd had, a used car, for 3 days. And I got to the music off ramp and the car died. And I'm not quite on the off ramp, it's actually the on ramp because I have traffic coming in the other lane on my left. And then I'm seeing the lights of the traffic from the on ramp come up. But some girl come down playing with the radio. She smashed into me. Guy stopped his car to come over and help me, and the drunk girl came down and smashed him into my car, took his legs. And guess who got sued?
You.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. And I guess they made a settlement out of court, but damn, that is something I never want to go through again. I never want to see anybody go through again.
This goes back a lot of years. And I mean a whole lot of years. And Wendy, you'll probably appreciate this one. I'm driving on the curved road going onto US Highway 12, and it was one of the first kind of crazy on-ramp, off-ramp things. They're just starting to develop then. Well, it's snowing like you can't believe. And I'm driving this truck, and I realize up ahead, they just had an accident. I pull off to the side quickly, put on my four-way flashers, put on the brakes, look out the side view mirrors. I'm starting to exit the truck to go and see what I can do to help out. When I see a VW Bug coming up the road, they hit the brakes, they did 180 and slid into the back end of my truck.
Wow.
They neatly cut off the right rear fender of their Bug. I go over there to find out what's going on with the real accident. And I get there, I see this guy laying on the ground, and I see this woman just working like hell on top of him. And I go, what happened? What happened? Well, another person in this multi-car pileup tells me the guy in the first one that started the whole thing had a heart attack.
Oh,
The car that ran into the back end of him ran forward to find out what was going on. The guy fell out. She immediately went to work on him. She was on her way to work at the Hennepin County Medical Center. She was a trauma nurse.
Yeah.
And she saved his life.
Well, Wow.
I mean, that guy was
Yeah, I
not
mean,
meant to die.
Yeah.
no, I was hit by a lady last year who had a heart attack while driving. She hit me while I was jogging that morning,
Yeah.
and I couldn't help her because my left lower leg was nearly amputated,
Ooh,
but I was telling everybody else what to do,
Mm-hmm.
and she survived. I'm glad she survived. You know, she
That's
felt terrible when
good.
she found out that she hit a nurse that was jogging.
Yeah, that would kind of put a hurting on your conscience there.
oh, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when that happened, and boy, were we all worried for you.
I don't remember a lot for the first few days.
I bet.
They kept me pretty.
Eh,
They kept me pretty snowed over.
What that Della did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dildo did.
I've had a few high
Some good
trauma
stuff,
accidents,
man.
Smiling politely.
and believe me,
Yeah.
I don't remember at all what really happened. All I remember is the aftermath, and everything was just going wonderful right up until the point it happened.
Yeah.
And after that, out of my mind.
Yeah. I remember them realizing I was going to be hit. I knew I was getting ready to get hit, so I had jumped, and the grill of her Cadillac hit my lower leg, and I landed on her hood with my left side, and it also ruptured my spleen. I had to have my spleen removed surgically, an emergent spleen. So, but yeah,
Is your spleen okay?
she's having a heart attack. It's gone. They took it out that morning. They rushed me to surgery and took it out and fixed my leg. Well, that was the first surgery on my leg. I had like 10 surgeries on my legs to save it. But
I knew a man that
Yeah,
got shot in the
I'm glad that she's
spleen
okay. I don't
and
blame
they
her.
surgically removed his.
Well, the spleen is a filter, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
kind of
Didn't mean to stomp on you, Wendy.
All right. So you can live without it, apparently.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
The
I always wondered what goes along with not having it. I mean, is there side effects or something?
You can also be more anemic.
I think
Anemia is
yeah.
something that comes
The
along
long
with it.
yeah, the long
Acidosis
suffering.
as
She doesn't have
well.
a spleen either. She lost hers. hmm
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
But,
Yeah, the guy that I know that got shot in
yeah,
the spleen.
I've removed hundreds of
3 years
I've
ago,
removed hundreds of spleens. So
and I have no idea how he's doing now. But a year after the surgery, he was doing pretty good.
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
well,
Well, they have a new
long
procedure
suffering. She's
now for
doing pretty good with
spleens.
others.
Yeah, there's this procedure that they can do now, and this is something that's only been going on for maybe the last 10 years, and they've really perfected it now. We don't always have to take patients to surgery and give them the big cut for a spleen,
Right.
as long as they're holding a blood pressure. If you're holding a
Right.
blood pressure and your blood pressure is fairly stable, what they do is they take you to what's called special procedures. And special procedures is an intervention radiologist. And he goes in through the femoral vein, just like you, or artery, just like you get for a calf, heart cath.
Right.
And he snakes up and through there. But instead of going through up to the heart, he can snake through and get into the splenic artery and just block it off.
Really?
It's called embolization. And embolization.
Wow.
Embolus is whenever something blocks the blood vessel, blocks off the artery. You have an embolus. This is it's called embolization, and they put something in there, and it just completely blocks it off, and you never have to have the big cut. But you have to have a good blood pressure to do it. I did not have a good blood pressure because I was bleeding very, very badly from my leg. So I did not have enough blood pressure for them to take the time to perform that. You can do a splenectomy by itself in about 30 minutes. With a big cut. It doesn't take any time to do one.
Jeez.
That other way, it takes about 45 minutes to an hour. So it depends. I mean, when I'm saying 30 minutes, I'm saying 30
for about an
minutes
hour and
from the
20 minutes.
When I say 30 minutes to do a splenectomy. What I'm saying is from the time that we make an incision to the time that we finish closing the incision at the end is 30 minutes. We get in there, and within the first
Uh-oh.
Whoa, we lost.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll get her back. I know we'll get her back. She sometimes has internet
The
issues.
difference probably is that my friend got a bullet, a 38 caliber projectile, right in his spleen, and he had a lot of other problems than just the spleen.
Mhm.
Oh,
Thankfully, it was not a hollow.
There you
You're
are.
back.
You're front too.
Cheyenne laid her head down. I'm on my iPad. Cheyenne laid her head down on my iPad and hit the exact right thing with her ear.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Aren't animals wonderful?
Yep.
Yes.
Speaking of which, Hail Mouse,
Yeah. Hail Mouse. Here he is.
Lord
Making
Mouse.
his-
Yeah, we usually,
Yeah.
whenever we're doing a spleen, we already have the spleen clamped off within about 10 minutes of cutting. We've already got the spleen clamped off. So we've
Wow.
minimized the bleeding within 10 minutes of the incision. 20 years
And
ago.
hello to the long
Yeah, they
suffering.
were still doing the open ones then. Yep. How are you, Miss Long Suffering?
oh,
Yeah. And I remember seeing something on one of these shows, History Channel or one of them, Discovery. I don't know which is which. But it was many years ago, but they talked about if a spleen being damaged by trauma, and they would put in this thing that looked like a spring, a coil spring, to kind of insert that and rotate it up in to bring the parts together. And I don't know
Yeah.
if that's still a thing or.
That I haven't seen it. I've heard of it, but
Yeah.
whenever you have a spleen, if it's fractured bad enough, you don't really need it.
Yeah.
It's safer to just remove it.
just like the
Just,
appendix.
or do like they do, embolize it. Yeah, just like the appendix.
Well, imagine if it's out of there, there's more room for donuts.
Doing really good, long suffering.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, and her voice is getting better. Finally, she's finally getting better with
That's
her
good.
voice. It's starting to sound normal. I know it's just been so long, and she has an appointment soon with the ear, throat, and mouth. But I think she's going to make a good recovery, and I can't wait for that. Oh yeah, and yeah, it's frustrating being.
The evil thinker in me says inhale some helium just before you go into the doctor's office.
You are really a pervert, John.
Cheyenne, don't do it again. Sorry, Cheyenne was doing it again.
Oh dear.
I just want to tell you guys something impressive that I saw on Sunday, on the way to church on Sunday morning. We had to take a different route because of all the construction, because there's only 2 seasons in Minnesota. That's winter and construction season.
Yeah.
So,
Welcome to Pennsylvania.
I think that's the same about a lot of places. And so a lot of people wouldn't know where this is unless they live in Minnesota or in the Twin Cities area. I took 35W North to get off at 66 in Richfield. And at that location, not too far, there's a place called Wood Lake. It's a nature center that's in there. I grew up right near that. Spent too many hours in there. Some of it actually educational. A lot of it was being nefarious and just being a bunch of punk kids. But we all had fun there. But when we got off the road, just turned about a half block up, there was roadkill because there's a two lane at the, on 66 there. And there was like roadkill up ahead about half a block, and all of a sudden this big bird comes landing down in front of me. Now I've turned the corner, so I'm not going fast at all. And it's like I'm looking there going, that's a big bird with a very white head. It was a bald eagle, and the bald eagle hopped over and then started hopping on top of the roadkill with his talons and all that. And it's like watching as we're slowly driving by. It's like, wow, this is impressive. I think it's about the closest I've been to a bald eagle in nature, without being in a zoo. And as I'm driving by, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this hawk comes swooping down, and and buzzes the eagle and flies off, and the eagle just kind of goes, "Okay, that's it, I'm out of here." Took off and flew away. I wish my phone was better convenient so I could get a picture or at least film a little bit of it. But
Yeah.
of course, you're driving; it's in the hook, and the long suffering and the mother-in-law. Of course, it happens so fast that no one can really get their stuff out to record or take pictures. But
Right.
it was, it's like right here in suburbia, about a couple blocks to the north of us, right there, Minneapolis, Minnesota. So it's like right in the heart of the, of
In the
Metropolis.
in the west to you is Southdale Shopping Center, the world's first shopping center.
Enclosed, yeah.
Neat.
Mm-hmm. So
Now-
yeah, you're those enclosed ones that you like so much, people out there. That's where it came from. Was Southdale was the first one.
The other
Then we
thing
got-
is Wood
That's
Lake.
Blame.
Wood Lake was called Wood Lake because it was really a nice, beautiful lake.
Mhm.
It were built a lot of really beautiful homes. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
And it was an exclusive little area just south of Minneapolis. Well, they decided to build something called Interstate 35.
Which I was on.
Yeah.
And guess what they did? They broke the cap to the lake. And it turned into a giant marsh.
Oh dear.
They ruined the place because the idiots didn't know how to build a road properly.
You know what I gotta say to that old man?
Very interesting, but stupid.
For them, yes.
Yeah.
You can't believe it. It was a beautiful lake. Absolutely beautiful. As kids, we used to go there all the time, and the lake would freeze over in the winter. It would go down this embankment off of the Lake Drive, which was kind of a road cut circular around it. It would slide out there and then slide out across that lake. It was the greatest. And I'm not kidding you. There were hundreds and hundreds of kids out there all fighting elbow to elbow to get the best spot to slide because you were going to go the furthest. And then they effed it all up. And it sat like a pile of shit. Sorry, excuse my language.
Somebody's not here.
Somebody turned it into a nature center. Okay, now remember, this is in just a scant distance away from the city of Minneapolis, in the city of Richfield.
Right.
A few years back, some guy had to stop on the doggone 35 because there was a buck deer out on the road. The stupid idiot got out of his car, confused deer off the road. Guess what happened to him? Yes, indeedy, folks. And his wife parked the car and drove the deer away. National news.
I loved growing up in and around there. That was a great spot growing up as a kid. I mean, I had Lindale Field to the south, and you had this whole entire field you could shoot rockets off and stuff like that. And you had the woodland. You know what? I loved growing up in Richfield where I was. That was just
just a little bit on the other side of the road, because what we're talking about, this little lake window, area, just on the other side of the road that went by the north-south running road was called Lindale. On the other side of that, just a half a block, was a little thing called Bob's Park. At that time, they had the largest quantity of albino squirrels anywhere.
Oh, cool.
They were coming in from all over the world to take pictures of them. I'm not kidding. They're all over the damn place.
Even when I was going to grade school, there was still some albino squirrels running around in that area. And
that's
very
awesome.
friendly.
We have a lot of the gray squirrels. We have occasionally a black squirrel. Never seen an albino squirrel.
I had one running around in my backyard for the longest time. And he never showed up this year. And I'm afraid he cashed in his chips. Which is a real shame because it was just a joy. And some blankety blank south end of a northbound horse came in here and offered to trap the thing, and they paid $5,000 for it.
Wow.
No way in hell would I go along with that.
No.
Yeah.
Now, we did have a couple albino deer down in Bethlehem some years ago at the university I worked at. But the area where it was the old Bethlehem Steelworks offices up on top of the mountain.
Oh,
And
really?
when Bethlehem Steel owned it, they had this huge fountain. I think it was 90 foot in diameter. And, you have the big pool 90 foot, and then the big fountain coming out. Well, that had been more or less taken out. The pool was still there and filled with rainwater all the time. And we come up one day and there's a whole bunch of deer drowned in it because it's so steep getting down there, and it got very muddy because we got hit with some severe storms. But there was, oh God, it must have been at least 10 deer drowned in it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we had them and we had the hawks. And I remember sitting on the back end of the back bumper of the van, and I'm sitting there having a cigarette, planning my next move on a lock project. And I hear this rustling and screech up in the trees. The next thing I see is the hawk coming down and feathers coming off the bird he just got.
Ooh.
Scared the hell out of me. Jeez.
Now, Wendy, you must have like a recreational area or something like that, at the hospital there. What kind of wild critters do you get in there?
Well, I'm down in South Texas. We don't have we have a lot of vultures.
Any armadillo?
I've never seen an albino. We have snakes, coyote. Whenever I was growing up, I'm literally in the Rio Grande Valley on the border with Mexico.
Oh, really?
And I used to grow up playing in the Rio Grande River. That's where I learned how to water ski, was on the Rio Grande River. We had a campsite that we would rent, that my parents and my uncles and his wife and kids, my cousins, and we all rented this camp place together right on the river. And so every weekend we'd go down the Rio Grande River and we'd go skiing and throw rocks at Mexico, and Mexico's right there on the other side of the river. And sometimes there'd be kids on the Mexico side throwing rocks back at us. Of course, the river was too wide in that area to actually throw all the way across. We were kids.
So is that how you met Mexican Iron Man?
You must have been more over in the west side of Texas.
No, I'm down in the very South Texas. If you look up Rio Grande Valley, I'm in the Rio Grande Valley.
Oh, yeah.
The Rio Grande Valley is Brownsville up to about Laredo.
I've been to Brownsville.
I'm about driving to San Antonio. I have about a 4-hour drive north to San Antonio, due north.
Matter of fact, I went from Brownsville into Mexico.
Yeah, they got a crossing. They got a crossing bridge there. They got a lot of them now.
Yeah.
It was funny when I went over the border into Mexico. The guy looked at me and says, "You are coming back, aren't you?" I go, "Damn right I am." He was wondering whether I was a Dodger, and I told him, "Hey, I got a medical discharge out of the Army. Want to see my papers?"
Yeah.
Not another word out of him.
Now, Wendy, did you ever run into a Gila monster down there?
A Gila monster? No, I never ran into one. But speaking of Mexico, man, that's whenever I was in high school. We weren't old enough to drink in America, but we could cross over and go drinking as much as we wanted in Mexico and then stumble home. Hide from our parents.
That was something similar up here. It was called Wisconsin.
Yeah, we had New York.
I was drinking at 15 legally in the bars.
We cross over. Yeah, down here it was Reynosa. Where I'm at, the closest bridge to us was Reynosa, Mexico. That's where we go and party hard. Some of those places are still there.
I was Santa Claus in El Paso, Texas. That was an experience and a half.
Yeah, I bet.
That was about 10 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not joking one bit. I don't speak a word of Mexican.
Yeah.
They got a guy that can stumble along in Norwegian and in German. And where do they put me? Mexico territory. The biggest joke I got
Yeah.
were the Mennonites from the other side of the border. And I learned real quick that some of those Mennonites in their tight little community, they have, well, of course, everybody speaks German in there, but some of the people speak Spanish, some of them speak English for dealing with both sides
Yeah,
of
we
the...
call it Tex-Mex.
Yeah.
We call it Tex-Mex.
My favorite kind of food.
And
Yeah.
I would get these...
Mine too.
I would get these doggone Mennonites coming over, and it was a dead giveaway. You know, they get the little hair thing for the ladies and what have you.
Yeah.
And they'd come by, and they'd all stare at me sitting on the stand up there. And then by freak, because of a certain little military base right there, they were having some kind of a deal with Germany. And the German pilots were coming in all around Christmas time. They were going to celebrate Christmas in the United States.
Oh, wow.
Oh, guess what?
Yeah.
They brought their families with them. And these women would come by and they'd see Santa Claus up there. Oh, da, da, da. I got this one woman coming up there with an older woman that was obviously her mother, and then this little kid. And this girl comes up to me and she tells me, one of the girls on the stand tells me, I can't understand the word they're saying. It's just terrible. I go, what's the problem? You speak Spanish perfectly. It's not Spanish. They don't understand a word of it. Oh, well, let me go over there and see what I can do. I got over there and I took one look at her and I go, "Es du Deutsch?" She goes, "Ja, sehr gut, kommen Sie, kommen Sie." That was the end of that whole thing. You should have seen the doggone German girl came pouring out of the woodwork to see a Santa Claus that could talk German. Boy, did I think that good.
That's awesome.
You were popular.
Oh, was I?
Mm-hmm.
Just was
Yeah,
unreal.
Jimmy grew up in Chicago, and when Jimmy moved down here, she didn't know any Spanish. She's done pretty good though since she got here. Of course, like I say, it's more Tex-Mex. It's a mixture of English and Spanish, but she's learning it. But she grew up in Chicago. She didn't know any of it. She's getting better.
By the way, how is Dr. Jimmy doing?
She's doing okay. She's already asleep. Today was her day at the county clinic.
Okay.
She has all the trauma surgeons go one day a week. They go, and today her day is Wednesdays. They go to the county clinic for the day, and they see patients that needy patients that need hernias and gallbladders and stuff like that. And she sees them and schedules them for surgeries. And it's always a long day for her. So she's already in bed.
I was hoping she was on because I got this little spot here I wanted her to take a look at.
If I wake her up, she may hurt me.
I grew up in a little town in Minnesota, and you cannot believe the little community that I grew up in. One, guess what, folks? It was an ethnic community. We're talking back in the 50s, folks.
Yeah.
You could go into any store in this town, and your chances of hearing English spoken were quite small. I'm not kidding you one bit.
I grew up.
Now, the problem was, and you talk about Tex-Mex, we had Pol Deutsch.
Right.
Part of the community was Polish, part of them was German, and they mixed the two of them together.
Yep.
If that don't screw you up for life, I don't know what will.
Well, see, that's the thing with the very old days in the area I grew up in. And this is going back, 1800s up until the 1950s. Was you had different sections of the Pittston area, for instance. You had English, Italian, Scottish, and Irish,
Oh,
more
boy.
or less in town. On the outskirts of town, you had Estonian, Latvian, Lithuanian, Polish, Ukrainian, some Russian, but not much. But it was just this whole thing. And these guys are supposed to be working together in the mines, and they can't understand each other. So the mine owners just said, put the Polish guys in this mine, put the Irish guys in this mine, put the Ukrainians
That's what
over
you got
here,
to
and the
do.
Germans here, you know. But eventually, it all really did mix in, and everybody eventually learned English to one degree or another. But so it was a strange place back in those days. And in Scranton, they had a lot of German, and they even had a Schiller Lodge, a German Masonic lodge,
Yeah.
which still to this day is meeting and speaking German.
Yes.
And
Scranton has got a lot of German there.
yeah, Schiller Lodge, and they had a German newspaper in Scranton. I can't remember the name of it, but that's of course long gone, but quite fascinating. And then over the border in New York State, they still have Garibaldi Lodge, which does all the lodge work in Italian. And there's a bunch of us go up every year and visit there, and it's really interesting to see the similarities and differences, and to hear the ritual work done in another language is fascinating.
Where in New York?
I'm thinking, I think that's Waverly, New York.
Oh, okay.
I'd have to look it up again. I haven't been up there myself. I'm hoping to go this year, but it's going to be a while before I get the money to do it all.
Oh, yeah.
But
everything costs.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's, gas money is gas money. It's expensive. And it's almost $5
I filled up my truck
right here.
I filled up my truck at like
Down here,
$4.30.
just I think like last week we finally reached down here. We finally got over $4. So we've been very lucky down here. So last week
just
it
here,
went
too.
over $4. Yeah.
I was getting gas at just at $4. In other words, the $39.99, $3.99.9.
Yeah.
I consider $4.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the wife went in and she got
a lot
filled
of
up.
refineries. Yeah. We have a lot of refineries down here in the South Texas area, and I think that's what really saved us for so long.
Yeah.
Was the refineries.
Well, we got 2 refineries right here in the Minneapolis area. Guess what, folks? It don't help.
And the only reason we've gotten away as long as we have with it being, under $5, I think, is because we're boring.
John, I've been meaning to tell you this. You're right. You are.
Yeah, you guys really are.
I'm kidding.
Hey, John.
That's what I say about myself.
After a rain.
What's that?
I said, is your biggest thrill watching cracks dry up after a rain?
Second biggest thrill. First biggest thrill is sitting here. I sit down at the computer whenever I wake up in the morning, and some days, I go out and do whatever chores, do what mom needs done, shopping, what have you. And some days I'll come down, let's say about 11 o'clock in the morning, because I don't sleep until 3. And I'll be doing the historical research. And I'll get onto something, and then I'll go in 3 other directions that I've found in one article, but I have to go after these other 3 things. That branches out into 9 other things. And 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm still here. And that's, to me, that's thrilling because I'm making these beelines through all this stuff and covering so much. I love that.
That's my biggest problem is I'm hooked on history.
Yeah.
If I could make that into a drug, I would be in the corner mainlining it.
Well, speaking of which, I have a bill here inside of this bill, and I just found this in our storage shed a week or so ago. That is my great-grandfather's Lehigh Valley pocket watch. It's a Waltham, made in Waltham, Massachusetts, and from what I can find out on it, it was made in 1893.
Wow.
And I managed to get the back off it and find the serial number because that's located on the back plates in here. I don't know if you can see that.
Let me
But
get you into the big. There we go.
yeah, but if you can see the
Yeah.
detail on
Oh,
the
yeah.
plates and everything, you don't see that on a whole lot of watches. This was very fancy stuff,
Oh, yes.
But I need to get it
Cool.
serviced. There's a couple of people online who have actually taken apart this kind of a watch and rebuilt it and done all the fix and lubrication. I found out you can still get parts for these,
Yeah.
which is surprising as hell. But when I get the money to do it, I want to get this thing running because when I go, this goes to my nephew, and I want to give him something.
I have my
really
grandfather's graduation clock. Or no, confirmation. They gave him when he got confirmed, they gave him a pocket watch.
Yeah.
I have that. He gave it to me. And I mean, you have no idea how much I treasure it.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I've been searching for this for 6 years. We used to have it. It was sitting upstairs on the one cabinet in the little bell container. And then in West Pittston, it was sitting for many years on the fireplace mantle. But when my dad died, my mom started cleaning out the house, and she threw this in a box with some other good stuff. Well, not threw, but laid it in the box carefully. And I've been searching for it. I went up to our storage unit, and I'm going through a whole bunch of stuff up there, and lo and behold, there it is, the Holy Grail.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty
Wendy,
awesome.
did you ever get any precious things from your family?
Yeah. What I've gotten from my family is one of my biggest things that I pride is my grandmother's sewing machine, old-fashioned sewing machine. I like to quilt.
A singer?
And she taught me how to quilt. Old singer. I made my first quilt by myself when I was 11, and she gave me her old her sewing machines. I've got my favorite one is the oldest one. It was a big old box one where it had an open lid and everything. Yeah.
Yep.
I treasure that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure who'll get it after me. And my son doesn't. I don't think my son isn't gonna sew. I don't know if my daughter-in-law will pick up sewing. She's pregnant. I'm gonna be a grandmother in July.
Oh, wow!
I don't know.
Congratulations!
They haven't told us if it's a boy or a girl yet.
Well, they won't know for a few years now.
Wendy, if you ever open up that old singer, look at the beautiful work that was done inside there. Things that people would never see.
Yep.
Polished parts.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I've looked at it and I've studied it and I love it. Works great too.
It's a work of art.
Oh yeah. And you gotta thank the machinists back then. And that's another thing you got from the Germanic and the Nordic was the precision machining.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was.
Well, I've got modern machines with all the. Yeah, I've got modern machines with all the programmed embroidery letters and different things on it. But that old one is still my favorite. I almost feel as though I can just feel my grandmother sitting there with me whenever I'm sewing on it.
You got all the attachments to do all this different stuff?
Yeah, I've got modern sewing machines that'll do the embroidery. You just have to program what letters you want it to embroider or whatever you want it to embroider. It's got about I think 60 different things to choose from. Letters,
Oh, wow.
numbers, and different symbols and stuff, and
Oh yeah.
flowers and butterflies and all sorts of stuff.
That's cool.
But I still like
I'm
that
so
one. I love
fascinated.
that one.
I'm so fascinated in that stuff. So whatever you got to tell, dump it quick because I love every bit of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I wish I
Well,
had as much time to sell quilts or make quilts as I used to. But
yeah.
I used to be because I
Oh,
was
you
just
make
working weekend
quilts?
night shifts, and I could sew all week. But now that I'm the director over all of trauma services, I have to work during the week, and on the weekends I just don't want to do anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hmm.
I just want to be
Yeah.
bored.
did you make patch piece quilts or did you use a whole sheet?
I don't know if there's a way. Maybe I can send Baron some pictures on DM him some pictures, and he can show some pictures of some of my quilts if you'd
Oh
like
Yeah,
to.
wow!
that'd be great.
I
I'd
could
love
try.
believe me.
Okay,
I
let
could
me
try.
get up here on my phone.
There- There's
I'll show
so
you some
much
of my different
work.
quilts that I've made.
There's so much work and effort going in to make a quilt. The people that make it, boy, oh boy, do I admire you.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandmother and her sister were big
Uh,
quilters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you
yeah,
used to have the quilting circles all over the place. And the
yeah.
ladies
Well,
would
I've got
come together on
my
a
dad
given
has
day.
two sisters. Two of my dad's sisters are my aunts. They're big into quilting too, and so when we all get together and we have a chance to have a weekend together, that's what we do. We quilt.
Oh
I
wow.
actually design my own quilts. I design my own quilts. I do my own cuts. I do my own math on how to get everything and put it together. They use actual patterns that already have the math and everything worked out for them. I don't do that. I actually make my own. But
Wow. You got my admiration, Wendy.
Custom
let me
quilts.
just pull some of these
Awesome.
up and I'll send them DM them to Baron and he can show them off. Now my phone has decided to really slow down now that I'm doing this.
Of course, that's what always happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My mother-in-law way back made a big quilt that was just supposed to be to keep us warm if we ever had to do it in my car. I still have that to this day in the back of my truck, and I treat it like gold.
Hmm.
My mother-in-law's been gone for a long time.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm 75,
Hmm.
but the work that she put into it and everything,
yeah.
it blows my mind. I love it, and I love
Yeah.
anybody that can make quilts.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Whether it was cottage
And,
industry or real
uh,
industry, back in the day, people cared about their work. They took pride in it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and anybody that makes their own
yeah,
quilt, like Wendy does, cares what the hell they're doing.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's it. That's
And
it.
I don't look for cheap fabric. I'm looking for good fabric that's going to last, that's not going to fall apart on me. You
Right.
know?
And it's hard to find any of the fabrics you had in the 60s to 70s and earlier because everything's being made
Yeah.
overseas now out of different materials.
And shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say
My
that.
mother goes through that. But
And here's the
yeah,
first one I'm going to send you, Baron.
Okay. I'm keeping an eye out. I'm keeping an eye out. Oh, there we go. So just a second here. I think I'm
That one
getting
is a
pretty good
double
at this.
wedding
So
ring.
mhm.
let's see if I can do this right. I gotta get a second monitor one of these years. There we go. And there we be.
Oh, beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Playful. Love it.
Very lovely.
Where'd you get
How
that one?
royal.
It's a double wedding ring. I did that one about, guess that one is about 6 years old now. Where's the others?
Baron, where
Probably
did
be
you get
easier
that?
if I just, Huh?
Where did Baron get that one from?
The picture, you mean?
From me. I
No,
made it.
Yeah, from her.
the quilt.
The what?
That was one of the, that's one of the
That's
quilts I
hers.
made.
I was showing one
Huh?
of her pictures. That's a picture she sent. That's a
Oh,
picture of a
really? You
quote
made that one.
right. That was
Yeah.
hers. Yeah.
I've got some others
Wow.
if I can just find them on here.
And
There's one that I
Oh, boy,
have. The
that's
next one, if I
fantastic.
can find it again.
that's always
That
the
I can
case.
is
When you
find
want
it.
to find it, you can. Oh, one thing I gotta say about
Yeah.
that quilt is I gotta say this.
I'd buy that for $1.
okay. There goes a little bit of psycho work.
Yeah. The weird thing is, I know I've seen that somewhere before.
RoboCop.
Is that
Really?
it?
Yeah, that's from RoboCop. Yep.
Oh God, I saw RoboCop when it came out and haven't seen it since.
Oh, I've been meaning to sit down and watch it again. I like that film. It's a good movie. The original one, of course. We're not talking about they
Yeah.
did that remake. I don't even care about. But
Yeah,
that was I love what RoboCop.
I saw the original back in the day when it came out, and that first, well, not the first scene, but the beginning where he gets all shot up and they're taking him apart, basically. That one threw me,
Yeah.
and I'm not generally that squeamish, but
I ain't squeamish about anything.
yeah,
Oliver Holman was kind of got carried away with this, and he likes doing that stuff.
They
yeah.
cut a cyst out of my back.
Mm.
Well, not once, but twice. And I was pissed off because they didn't have a mirror so I could watch them do it.
Yeah.
Mm. I was more than happy to be asleep doing anything.
Yeah. And I remember when my grandfather got his hernia operation, and there was some complication with the intestine and all this, and he did not want to go under, the full anesthetic where you go out. He wanted just the, what is it, a local anesthetic where
Yeah,
it
local.
cut off the local pain, and he had them set it up with a mirror so he could see what they were doing because he was terrified he was going to end up with a colostomy bag, and he wasn't going to settle for that. And they ended up cutting some of it out, and they're talking about the bag, and he said, "No, you've got enough there to hook it up. You hook it up." And it's like, this is a guy looking at his own guts, telling him what to do.
Yeah.
Total respect.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a tall man. He was like my dad, a big man, strong man, and a formidable presence.
I had an explosion of a very big, heavy-duty vacuum tube.
Mhm.
And the pieces of glass went into my hand. And I was pulling pieces of glass out of my hand myself.
Yeah.
And then I had one big chunk in my left index finger. And I couldn't quite get it out, so I took a knife out, cleaned it up, soldered it up, and cut a little bit to try and get it out. At that point, I realized, no, I can't do it. I had to go into a doctor to have him take it out. He looked at my other fingers and said, "Who took that out?" I did. "You did?" "Yeah." Then he finally goes, "Well, we got this one. We got to take it out." "Okay, what are you going to do?" He says, "Well, I'll give you an injection of a painkiller." I said, "That ain't good." I said, "You want to see me DOA laying on the floor? Go ahead and do it." "Why?" "I'm allergic to all local anesthetics."
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, goody. I know exactly what to give you." I go, "Okay." Comes back and he says, "Believe me, you won't have a reaction to this." He injected it into me.
Yeah.
And I go, "Okay, fine. When do I know it's going to work?" He says, "When you feel like you're sucking on a metal spoon, let me know." I go, "Okay." He says, "Yeah, I got that feeling in my mouth right now." "Okay, I'll take it out." I'm watching him pull it out. And I go, "Shit, that's great." He would not tell me what the hell he injected me with.
Yeah.
I don't know to this day what he put into me. But the funny
Here's-
part was, this guy, we're out in Glendive, Montana.
Yeah.
And the doctor is related to some people that my wife knew from way back in North Dakota.
Mhm.
She didn't know him, but she knew his family.
Ha!
This guy
And
never
by
told me.
here's
Yeah.
another piece of her of Wendy's wonderful work. I see purple as a favorite color of yours, Wendy. It seems
Yeah.
like.
I
That's
do
pretty
love
awesome.
purple. I love purple, pinks, and blues. This is one of the ones that I designed on my own without a pattern.
Cool.
Well, the next
Oh,
one, the next
I
two
love
after
it.
that as well.
Mhm.
Spinning
What's the
stars.
pattern on the underside?
Yeah.
The underside, that's just a batik fabric. That's just what the fabric looks like on the backside. This is one that I actually use to curl up with on the couch regularly at night
Ah,
to watch TV. So I kept
Mhm.
this one for myself because it took me almost 3 years to make it.
oh,
That's dedication.
There was a
Mhm.
lot of curvy things that I had to cut out.
Yeah.
oh, jeez. It's
And
beautiful.
I'm gonna send.
It is,
I
isn't
got
it?
one more that I'll
It
send
is.
you.
Yeah,
It
and
is.
I'll get this. Well, and here's another lovely one here. Just a second. Like I said, I got to get better at doing this stuff. 2 monitors. Santa Claus, I want another monitor. There we go.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Very nice.
Boy, I like
The
that.
Ohio Star. My cousin
Mhm.
requested that. She asked me to make it for her, and she picked the colors. She likes
Mhm.
the Ohio Star. That's what that pattern's called. So
Yeah.
I made that for
Okay.
her.
Oh, wow.
That is a nice
Love
color
that
scheme.
star pattern all the way through, alternating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's sweet.
yeah. It's actually that was actually one of the easier ones that I've done. That one only took me about 3 months.
Okay.
Oh,
So
jeez.
Only 3 months.
Now, are there
Wow.
And my aunt-in-law,
are there textures sewn into the white there? I see circles under the green squares with a texture coming
what you're
down.
actually seeing, is the quilting pattern, because once you make the top of the quilt, and then you have the bottom of the quilt where you have that layer in between of quilt batting. Whenever you put all three layers together,
the
you have to
filler.
quilt them together. And so what you do is you make quilting designs that bring all three layers together as one. And so the circles that you're seeing
wow.
are just part of the quilting pattern, and I do those by hand as well.
Is
Oh,
that
wow.
a quilt?
That's awesome.
What was your question, old man?
Is it a thick one? A lot of
It's not
density.
very thick, no.
Oh,
No, it's not very thick. My cousin didn't want a very thick one. She asked for a thin one, so it's got very thin batting in it.
ah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, is it ever?
Gotta love it.
Mm-hmm. I love this one because this is this next one here, because this is the one that if we drank too much and you're trying to count it like sheep, you're gonna go nuts.
Mm.
But I love it.
You're gonna trip over it because you think there's a step.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It's a
What was that,
3D cubes.
What was that?
That one is not that one. Whenever I took this picture, when I took that picture, that's safety pins that are all in the center of it because I hadn't actually quilted. What you can see is on the outside of the border, you see that tan color. That tan color
Yeah.
is the batting in between.
Okay.
And the back
Really?
is laying down. Yeah,
Mm.
but the back is just plain black. It's just a plain black backing on it. But I hadn't quilted it yet, so that's all those safety pins are in there to hold it together so I could quilt it. It's quilted now. This is the one that Jenny uses. She loves that one. That's the one she uses on the couch.
Mm.
I look at that, and the first thing I think of is that Doctor Who episode where everything was twisted around.
Castrovalva, basically
Yeah.
Eischer's artwork.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, MC Escher. And that's
So
it's
again, I
neat
did that on
because
my own. I didn't use any patterns. I just did the cuts myself and figured out where how the angle of the cuts and did all the math myself.
well, that's the thing is I'm looking at it. The perspective is going every which way at once, and you're
Yeah.
thinking, okay, it's going
Jimmy
to
calls
the
it
right and then to the left,
Jimmy calls
and then
this one
down.
right.
Awesome.
Jimmy calls this her Cubert quilt. Remember the video
Yeah.
game Cubert?
Yep,
Yep.
Hubert. Yep.
Yeah.
She calls
I
it
was
her
thinking that
Cubert
too.
quilt. She calls it her Cubert quilt. Where's my Cubert quilt?
Wow.
Yeah, I can see
And the last
that. I can.
one I sent you, I'm still working on. The last one I sent you, I'm still
Oh,
working on. It's not a complete picture of it.
okay. Yeah, I haven't gotten
Ramsey's
that
in the
one yet.
picture.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
I
fantastic.
haven't gotten that
Unbelievable
last one
one.
yet.
You're just blowing my mind. Ah! All the way to the Funny Farm. What people
That's
do in quilting, just I can't believe it.
Well, that's
It's
the
just
thing. It's a craft, but it's also an art.
yeah.
you boy, did you say it right?
Mm-hmm.
It shows that I sent it.
Huh. Yeah, I only got those 3. Or the 4, I mean, sorry. I only got the 4.
Wow.
Huh. Let me go back
Mm.
again and see if I can find it.
Twitter's just being a bear. Gotta love
Yeah.
Twitter. Gotta love
Yeah.
it.
Knowing me, I forgot to hit send. There, I sent it that time.
Oh.
I think I forgot to hit send.
Mm.
Damn
I've
it.
been guilty of that
I
many
hate it when that
times.
happens.
The people out there that create unbelievable things, like, well, shall we say, the former Mrs. Tag,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
stuff that she puts together, and my grandmother, who was a crocheter,
Yeah.
she
Mhm.
created up an entire bedspread, and I have it in my ultra exotic bedroom. The bed in there is made up of my wife's grandmother's bed,
No, no kidding.
and the furniture in there also from the same era. And covering the bed over the top of it is my grandmother's work of art.
Mhm.
Nice.
It's a sacred territory. You go in there, you'll find a Bible in German, you'll find one in Norwegian,
Oh,
you'll find all kinds of stuff in there.
Yeah.
It's like walking through history. And sometimes I'll just go in there and stand and look at the stuff and look at it,
Yeah.
trying to imagine what they all went through when they made it. My grandparents went from horse and buggy to Man on the Moon. In one
Yeah,
life,
Yeah.
They went through the best part.
horse and buggy. Ooh, that's cute.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's Ramsey there. He had to be in the picture.
Of
That's the one I'm
course.
working on now.
Mhm.
But Ramsey had to
Nice.
be in the picture. So,
Yeah.
That is
Cool.
nice.
but that's a spinning star as well.
Spinning stars and laser eye.
Ramsey sees a camera, man, he has to be out in front of it.
Ah.
You gotta look where he's at. You
What a
want to
deal.
take a picture without him, you gotta look around.
Mhm. What a diva puppy.
Wow.
Gotta love it. He's so cute.
He's something.
It looks really nice. Oh, really nice. Really
That
nice.
one's actually a double size. It's a double size top.
Mhm.
I'm just getting ready to. Since then, I've added a border to it. I haven't taken a picture recently, but I've added a border to it, and it's ready to be safety pinned down to the other 2 layers.
Cool.
So,
I should probably put in here the long-suffering Mrs. Togg also produces some really beautiful stuff.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna bring that up. She's
It's right
into
here.
crocheting now, so yeah, she's
Yeah.
crocheting me a blanket,
I
so I
remember the
can't
whole
wait to see.
crocheting. Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
remember the whole crocheting discussion on King Dolphin.
Oh yeah, that's right. We had that big discussion on
Whoa,
there.
Yeah.
John, what are you waving around?
That
What's
is
this?
a glass orb that I got from Corning Glassworks up in New York way back in the 70s. And my mother made this cradle for it. It's macrame, they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
Oh,
the neat thing is when you shine a light through it. Do I have a light? Maybe this will work.
Mm.
Maybe it won't. Depending how
Oh yeah.
what kind of light you have. But
oh.
it I
Translucent.
took
Yeah.
some photographs of this with a much better light once, and it looks like a planet with this cage around it. But that was something she made, and she was always into the crochet, macrame, knitting. May I guess it's the crochet you're doing all these kinds of doilies and
Mm-hmm.
the kind of doilies you sew together and put around a Christmas ball, all that kind of stuff, as
But
well
you
as
got
make.
a Morning Globe
Mhm.
from those
Yeah,
infamously famous people in New York.
yep,
Mm-hmm.
before they turned evil.
Yeah.
And well, what happened with them is down the road from us was an old Grumman factory that Corning Glass bought, and they were putting in their fiber optic division, and they called it Benton Park Photonics.
Mm.
I was one of the first 800 employees there, and by the time they left, 8 months after they started, there were 200 of us left, and we all just said, we're taking the layoffs because they shipped all the jobs over to France.
Mm-hmm.
And we were making fiber optic boards, amplifiers, and the dispersing compensation modules. And that was a good job. I enjoyed it. It paid really well. And I held the record at that time when they closed for making the most first pass DCMs in the history of the company in one shift because I figured there were enough workstations open while I'm waiting for the glue to dry on one to hold the pigtails in place that I could start another one and then another one and another one. And people were wondering what the hell I'm doing. I come out with a record of 15 in one shift, and the average is 5 in one shift.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of proud of that. But no, they eventually just ended up having to give Pennsylvania back $19 million that Pennsylvania had given them to start up the place. And it turned into a disaster. And all the jobs went over to France. And here we are today. The place is practically empty. There's a door company in part of it right now, but the warehouse that they built while I was there has never been used.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Wow.
depressing. I wish it was still open because, I'd love to be back in that job because it was a sit down job mostly.
Mm-hmm.
I have to worry about the arthritis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Looking at a job,
that was something.
and they were designing and trying to build a box making machine. And I'm going, okay. Well, I went in there as a consultant to help them out.
Yeah.
And I'm telling them what they're doing wrong. These engineers don't have I'm not going to use the words. And anyhow, we're trying to put this machine together, and I'm telling them everything they're doing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
My profession was a millwright.
Right.
I know how everything has to fit together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling this. Meanwhile, the guys on the other side of one of those, what do you want to call it? Those Insta walls they make out of fiberboard and what have you.
Oh, yeah.
And on the other side of these guys are watching a TV. And the one guy says, "Oh my God." And I went, "What?" I stepped back a couple of feet and I took a look. And I watched an airplane fly into the tower. It was 9/11, folks.
Yeah.
You know, thousands of people are dying. These shithead engineers didn't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
When the second one went in, I said, we're watching the possibility of World War III, but we got to get the machine. They didn't give a crap. I said, thousands of people are dying.
Yeah.
And then the guy goes, you don't care about our project. And I says, I care about thousands of people dying.
Yeah.
What the fuck do you care about?
Yeah. There are some points where a project doesn't matter anymore for the next few days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of it, a couple of days later, these guys would go, blah, 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 blah. I walk in there and I take a look at the machine. I walk over it and I adjust something. I pull out a dial indicator, do a couple of things, a couple of other things. The micrometer, if you know what those tools are.
I have them.
And I get done with all this.
Yeah.
I look at it, I go over and I punch the button. This thing sent a cardboard box right through, boom, boom, bang, out the other side.
Right.
And they're all going, oh, we're geniuses.
Gotta love it.
And I'm going, yeah, you're engineers. You know what?
Well,
I really know how to engineer bullshit.
yeah. The university I worked at in Bethlehem was primarily an engineering university, so I understand just what you're saying. These guys would go in and they do their work math and their projects and their engineering classes and all this. And at night they would be the drunkest of the drunks and the worst of the worst and the most arrogant of the arrogant. I mean, it was
on one job where we had an engineer that was a total complete asshole. Okay. After work, a bunch of us guys all went to a local bar. It was a wonderful bar.
Yeah.
It was a bar you'd bring your family and kids into. This engineer comes in. The waitress that was working on us was definitely blessed by her mother. And she was definitely not a C cup. She was a D cup.
a
Two
dressed up and fighting the head
lady. She was a wonderful lady. She was courteous, kind, loving, what have you. This engineer reaches over and says, "Hey, baby," and grabs her by the breast and starts squeezing it. And we're looking at him like, you freaking animal.
Yeah.
That'll
get you.
Somebody. It was not me. I can swear it was not me. One of our group hauled off and punched him in the face as hard as he could. Laid him out on the floor. He was OUT.
Yeah.
We thought we were going to have to call paramedics for the guy. But he finally did kind of, what happened to me?
Yeah.
The bartender came over, grabbed a hold of him, grabbed him by the collar. Truth. He grabbed him by the collar and dragged him across the floor, out the door, and threw him into the street. He turned around and looked at us that were all standing there, sitting there with our, at our bar. He looked around at us with nervousness and what have you. We all stood up and went,
yeah.
And he goes, I said, "You don't like him? We hate him."
Gotta love it. Yeah, it's crazy.
But I couldn't. The bartender actually grabbed the guy by the collar as he's laying on the floor and dragged him out of the bar and threw him into the street.
Yeah. Yeah.
We loved it.
I've seen that done before.
Hey, Pacifica! Hail!
And here.
There he is, man of the hour, Tyra Power. A man who has probably never been dragged out of a bar by a bartender yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
There's always a first time.
There's time, yeah.
I've been asked by a bartender to leave. Would you please leave?
Mm-hmm.
But that's a whole other story.
So how are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, excellent.
Well,
We are
we're
doing
pretty good.
fantastic. We're
How was
marveling over all of Wendy's work. Have you seen any of that?
Mm.
Oh, you really missed it. She is unbelievable in making quilts. Unbelievable.
That's my side. That's my hobby.
Hey, not a bad
My
hobby
real
to
job
have,
is
Wendy.
not trauma nurse. My real job is a trauma nurse. I gotta have something calming, take the stress away.
Yep. Well,
So how was
that's-
Master Paul's doing?
I don't know. I was doing pop talk, so
Okay.
I never made it.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I told Paul I probably wouldn't make it.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Well, timing's everything. But I see you have in the background. There's something important. Actually, I'm glad you're here because I can add some. Of course, May 25th, 1977. Of course, 45th anniversary of Star Wars release.
Yes,
Of
it
course,
is.
this also the same day Return of the Jedi came out, and I think that's 30 some years old now. So, was it? Well, actually, 1983. It's like, oh
Yeah,
my
it's
word!
29.
No,
Wait, not
39.
39. My bad.
Yeah, I wish it was 29. Make me feel better. But also,
Sorry, it's
because
late.
yeah, it is, and also today, I'm going to give you some baseball history, just for you. I was hoping you'd show up. Today was the day that they retired Kirby Puckett's number 45 jersey for the Minnesota Twins.
Yes.
And we have Captain Fandom Nerd, formerly known as Captain Trek.
That's correct.
Hello there.
Welcome.
Pacific, I got to ask you a question.
Okay.
Okay. Have you seen the VW commercial that uses R2D2 in it?
I have not.
It's out there, believe me.
I'll definitely look it up and check it out.
Poor R2D2 demoted to promoting the VW.
Yep.
And what we got to say about that is, there we go. Who says this is not educational?
I saw that just this evening, and I couldn't believe it. I thought, what a bunch of... I'm sorry, I hate it when they take an iconic figure and use it to promote their car, their product, whatever.
Yeah.
You guys are so stupid. You can't come up with something creative on your own.
You remember a few years ago that they took John Wayne and brought him back to life for a beer commercial?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This was the early deep technology. God. I mean, John Wayne of all people.
And speaking about iconic giants here, how's the world treating you, Captain Fandom Nerd?
It's doing all right. Doing all right.
Are you surviving Strange New Worlds?
Oh,
Lord.
You know, Baron.
That's the wrong question.
Episode 1 of Strange New Worlds is available on YouTube, but I couldn't make it through it.
Let's put it this way. There are people that claim to be Star Trek fans that love it. And if you put aside everything that's in the past, then okay, it's the best of new Trek. Which isn't saying much in my opinion.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like, let's see here. Well, instead of a pound of shit, we're only going to add a cup this time.
It's the prettiest hole in the outhouse.
Exactly.
I listened to a group of people that absolutely, totally vomited all over so
And we have the world's most famous punk penguin out there, Punk Waddle.
Hey, Punk
What's
Waddle,
up, Punk
hello.
Waddle?
Waddle.
Hello.
How you doing, buddy?
Hello.
He's our wandering good luck charm because I like penguins. So if we have even a punk one coming in, you know we are blessed. We have the luck. We have the charm with us.
Punk Waddle's
Someday
good
I'll
too.
have to get my buddy Mike on here. He goes by Mike McPenguin.
Penguin. Baron's favorite, penguins.
Penguins and sea otters. Sea otters are so dang cute. But
Yeah.
so are penguins. And I asked, and the long suffering won't let me have an otter. I said, "Can I have an otter? No. Can I have an otter? No. Can I have an otter?
No.
No."
Well, see, I used to get that from my mother a lot when she'd give me a cookie and say, "Can I have an otter?" Come on. I know what I'm. I know you get the joke.
Yeah, I got it, but I don't want it.
I know nothing. I know nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Good old Sergeant Schultz. You gotta love him.
Oh yeah, John Banner.
John Brenner.
Yep.
I'm
They
looking
wouldn't
more
even
and more
make a
like him
show
every day.
like that nowadays.
Oh
No, you couldn't. Mm-mm.
The funniest thing about
I
Hogan's
had
Hero.
heard that they wanted to remake that show. I heard they wanted to remake that show.
Yeah.
Oh, God, no.
Somebody said that on the Frolics one night. Yeah.
No.
What you need to understand is Hogan's Heroes, the main Germans in there, they're all Jews.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
And,
Except for Major Hofstetter, the Gestapo guy.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
yeah, I
But
don't
Burkle-
remember. Wasn't he Polish?
That's a good question.
One of the Eastern countries. I thought he was. I could be wrong.
Well, that was General Hofstetter. He was from Vienna. He was Austrian.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I cannot remember whether it was Sergeant Schultz or Klink that actually had tattoos on them.
Oh, that was the Frenchman.
Yeah, Robert Clary.
Oh, yeah, Robert.
Clary. Yeah, he
Yeah.
had the tattoos on his arm from the concentration camps.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I misjudged the characters involved there.
And he's the last surviving member of the cast.
Yeah.
And his family. I guess he lost his whole family in the camps.
Yeah.
But,
And
Yeah,
he's still a huge defender of Hogan's Heroes.
Yeah.
When people try to say it. He's out there going, "You guys don't know Jack."
Yeah. And that's it. And you can see some interviews with him. Was it Television Archives or something on YouTube has a channel where all of the shows that you loved, I Dream of Jeannie, Lost in Space, they have interviews with all the cast. And it's pretty neat. Some of the stuff that they come up with on those is fascinating and stuff you'd never think of.
You can't show the belly button.
Yeah.
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 The most erotic part of the body that we can't see on TV. It's going to send. Can you imagine just all the young men just going nuts seeing a belly button?
Yeah.
And of course, Burt Ward couldn't show the bulge.
No. I can't remember. Did I ever tell this story? Frank Gorshin and Adam West. Adam West told this story. He and Frank Gorshin went to the Playboy Mansion when they were having one of their little. Open the door. Oh, Fats. Hey, Fats, how you doing?
Hey, Fats.
Hold
Hey
on,
there.
I want to. Old
Good
man.
to have you here.
Hello.
Hello,
How you doing,
old
man?
man. You remind me of Tim Allen from the Santa Claus. I love it.
Who, me?
Yeah, you. You know, the
Little
red,
me?
doesn't he look like Santa Claus from the Tim Allen?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, Merry Christmas.
Holy
Actually,
shit.
I never
Okay.
saw that one. But-
Hi, everybody.
Hi there.
How you doing,
Pat.
Steven?
Hi, Mike. How you doing from Kenmore? Hi, Wendy. Hi, Trek.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi, Young Tag and John Rendell. Nice to meet you. You got like all the beards up top. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked out
Hey,
that way.
Pat, thank you so much for relating me to Tim Conway and his show. I love it.
Tim Conway. I said Tim Allen.
Tim Taylor.
Mm.
Tim Allen.
The
Oh my God, I
Saturday-
can't.
I'm trying to grow a beard, but it just won't happen.
I'm thankful for that, Wendy.
So
They
is
got
Jimmy. Jimmy's very thankful.
They got hormone shots for that.
Mhm.
No thanks. I'm over 50. I'm done with the hormone thing.
Smiling politely.
I actually ran into a woman who could grow a beard and mustache. She hated the idea of it, but she was so sloppy at it, she still looked like something from out of a circus.
Mm.
Wow.
Hmm.
You get her phone number?
You probably would have really liked her.
That's, I
Yeah,
gotta
that-
get you another drink for that.
Somebody. And from the neck down,
I got another
oh
bucket
yeah.
of to make now.
She's not just a member, she's also the president of the Beard Club.
Boy, you got that right.
Woo!
Gotta
Seriously,
love it.
you really got to get old man to do Christmas movie marathons, watch parties with Santa like during Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he'd be more
That
than
would be
up for that.
fun.
Look,
This guy, hey, you got me the screen.
Awesome.
It's got really
who's
awkward.
who now? I get confused now. Who's who?
I looked away to make a drink.
When I was on the Senate chair in California,
Huh.
somebody actually came up and asked me if I was Tim Allen.
That's
Oh,
pretty
dear.
cool. Was it Tim Allen?
No. It was- oh, you should have seen this lady that asked me. Oh, yes.
You can call me Samantha. Does that make it better?
Well, you know, when I was in Santa in California during Christmas, it's warm.
Yeah.
And these ladies would come up with these unbelievably low-cut dresses.
Uh-huh.
And when they came up to put their kid on my lap, they didn't bend down a little bit or whatever. They bent way over to make sure I got a view. I could see all of them sometimes go to the navel. And I could tell they were trying to get me.
Canyon.
I've just noticed how uncomfortable Orman has gotten now.
Oh, I've heard the story so many times. I've heard the story so many times.
I'm trying to see if they sync up with their pipe and vape at the same time, because that's what seems to almost be happening.
Everybody on the count of 3.
And
Wait, John's got to get his cigarette.
Look, I'm an old fat guy with beard and hair, dressed in a big red
There you
suit.
go.
Why in the hell would some young girl in her 30s that is gorgeous walk up and grab a hold of me to check out my equipment?
Because God loves you.
Santa Claus is the utmost daddy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not kidding you. Some of these ladies,
I'm a lesbian. I can't answer that. I'm a lesbian.
what have you, the real. I'm not the real Santa Claus. I'm the guy that's doing his job.
So,
You're
so
doing an
Wendy, how are you?
excellent job.
How do you react around Mrs. Clauses, Wendy?
Baby, get back.
I don't.
Mm.
Jenny
I
might
had
like this
one
later. I
lady.
don't.
And one lady.
I don't need her getting on me.
Claus, and she was about 6'1", and she was a little mentally retarded. She was the sweetest, most lovely lady I ever met.
But she was retarded, so she was sweet.
She ran interference for me, and I was leaving that place, and some punks all came up to try and do something to me. I can't do anything. I can't defend myself being Santa. She
Hey,
did.
Dan, just tell him you're the Easter Bunny.
She kicked the
She was
shit
your
out.
bouncer. She was the bouncer.
I'm Santa, but I identify as the Easter Bunny.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can't get it out of my head now.
You know, that's the one I feel really sorry for. You're going to be the Easter Bunny, right?
Yeah.
You're stuck in a mall with hundreds of kids coming up, climbing all over you. Inside that suit, you're in a Santa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet.
Dropping
Yeah. You always remember that movie, A Christmas Story? It's one of my favorite Christmas movies.
Oh,
Ever
yeah.
have a kid pee in your lap like in A Christmas Story?
No.
Old man
You know,
playing Santa
I can
Claus. You never
truthfully
had a
say
kid pee
I've
in your
never
lap?
been that kid.
I think he's been spared the kid going tinkle on him.
You never went tinkle on you?
No kids would tinkle on you.
I don't know if he can hear us. He seems kind of confused.
Who, me?
Maybe he can't.
Yeah, Wendy's asking if you ever had kids tinkle on you while you're playing Santa Claus.
No, believe it or not, this is the truth. I have never had a kid pee on me, throw up on me, or anything else in my entire Santa career. But I did have this sweet, lovely young girl. She could not wait to see Santa. She climbed on my lap, da-di-da-di-da. Her parents had to pry her off my lap. They're dragging her away. Well, I'm on an elevated platform. And they got to come up this, what have you. On the other side is where they go down and they get all the pictures. Well, I hear the scream, Santa. It's this young girl. She comes blasting up the backside, throwing herself into my lap. I got another kid there. Oh, shit. Great. Her parents come up, drag her off, drag her away. A few minutes later, I hear, Santa! He comes running back up again. I go, oh, boy. They drag her away. Now she's down one of the long aisles. And I can hear everything that comes out of that aisle of stores. I hear this scream, Santa! But she never came up. Her family got her.
You were rescued.
How many times was that kid dragged, by the way?
She got dragged away 3 times.
So they cleaned the floor with the kid.
Yep.
But if I can tell you one part about being Santa that sucks. Okay. On the right side of where I'm sitting in the chair are all the kids that come up. On the left side is where they leave. Suddenly they come up with this. Can you see this poor kid? Oh, yeah. I guess this kid about 10 years old. He's bloated. You can tell the kid is full of steroids. I'm the first Santa he's ever seen in his life. I listen to everything he's got to say. Everything. And I tell him, yeah, Santa loves you. The kid gets off my lap. The next thing I get this
Oh, shit.
13-year-old girl throwing herself in my lap. Where the hell did this come from? And she's crying. And I'm going, oh, shit.
Did you guys...
The next thing I see, 2 adult women standing out there watching me. Now, I'm Santa. Hey, my hands are out here. I ain't. And this girl starts crying to me. Her brother, the kid that was just in my lap, had his 3rd treatment for leukemia. And it didn't work.
Oh no!
So did any? Oh my god!
Then this poor girl starts telling me about how her mother died, her grandmother died, all within the year. She's the last one alone. Okay, you're Santa. What the hell do you tell this girl? Now, it may offend some people or whatever, but I asked the girl straight outright, do you believe in God? She said, yes. I said, in the Song of Solomon, chapter 3, this is for everything there is a season and a time and a purpose under God. The horror that you're going is really a blessing, because when you grow up, you're going to be able to help other people in the same situation. Don't ever give up your faith. Don't ever give your hope in the future. And she walked away. One of the ladies was demonstrating. She came all over. She walked up and she said, are you a psychiatrist? I said, shit, no, I'm a psychiatrist. I'm a Santa Claus. But to this day, that's burned into my memory, and I will never forget it for as long as I live.
God bless you for it.
It's going to die within a year. And I'm the first Santa Claus he ever saw.
Poor kid.
So, did you guys hear
Good luck with that? Wild folks. I got a life.
Did you guys hear about Whoopi Goldberg and The View settling with Rittenhouse $22 million?
I just saw something about that.
And a formal apology.
I just saw something not too long ago. Yeah.
Wow.
There you
really?
go. There you go, Orman. It's at the bottom.
I'll add that in there. Yes, there we go.
This is only the beginning.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how are they going to get out of it?
Good deal.
Rittenhouse, I love you.
Yep.
And then underneath you got Pelosi bill requires women to donate breast milk to refugees. That's the border.
Oh, jeez.
So it's the apology.
California?
Words. KR is not a murderer at least 4 times, according to a friend with knowledge. Oh shit! So I'm going to be watching The View as much as I don't want to.
You just want to watch people squirm.
When I was I was Santa Claus in El Paso.
My ER nurses have been watching Ramsey. So many of my ER nurses have been watching that Depp Heard trial. I had to finally just say, fine, you can play it on one computer in the ER, because I'm the nursing director over trauma services, so they're my staff. I finally just had to say, okay, it can be on one computer in the nurses station, because they were all trying to sign in on their computers and watch it. I finally had to. I gave them that and said you can put it on one computer. Whenever you're not taking care of a patient, you can watch.
Wait a minute.
They're so hooked on it.
You forgave him for being a Cubs fan?
Well, it was Phil McCracken.
I am a Cubs fan. Hail Chicago. Kick ass.
I like that,
Sorry,
Phil.
I'm an Astros fan.
No,
I'm an Astros fan.
The high point in my life was when the Cubs took the World Series. Damn it, that was great.
You're damn right that was.
One of the best
I'm a
moments.
Key West Angel
One
Hernandez
of the best
fan.
moments of my young life. I got to watch. I went to a Astros game in the '70s and watched Nolan Ryan pitch. So I'll never forget that. Got to see him pitch live against the Phillies.
Wow,
They
Nolan
lost.
Ryan. They lost.
Yeah, I got to see
Way
Nolan.
back as a young kid. And I forget, it's still called The Perfect Game. And you can probably look it up on the web.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember who was playing because I was damn young. 9 men up, 9 men down. They never got a hit.
Yep.
In the World Series. It was called The Perfect Game.
That had to be the Yankees, wasn't it?
It was some of the Yankees, I remember. But it was somebody who was playing against them that did the 9 perfect pitches.
Yeah.
Phil McCracken has a question here, which is going, Pacific, are you a Bears fan too?
The Bears.
No, I am not.
Okay. I didn't know if he was going after you with this one.
Yeah, see, I don't know much about baseball, but I did hear the other day that the Pirates are not going to suck as bad this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently they got 4 picks who are working out well. Now, whether that's true or not, what do I know?
You see this, Phil? You see what this says? And I will never forget it. I will never forget that night.
Holy shit, Mike has a camera.
Yeah, he does.
I'm in agreement with you because I love that night.
That
and see, there's another bearded guy. So
that did that?
Now, Captain Trick, do you have a beard?
No.
No. Okay. So I'm just taking account
Pacific,
here.
I gotta tell you this. I got a friend.
Yeah.
$100 every year that the Cubs would take the World Series. Well, on that particular game, I don't know what the odds were. They were way the hell up there. He took the World Series, and he screamed and yelled that he made $100,000. And you know something? I thanked him and I congratulated him, and I said, "Great, I love it."
You know, there's something different about that 16 season. It had a different feeling from spring training all the way into the season. I can remember telling my late mother, I said, there's something different. I just got this feeling that something's going to happen. I don't know what, but something's going to happen. And then at one point during the summer, they start getting on a losing streak. And I still keep in contact with my high school U.S. history teacher, who was also a Cub fan. And he's all, I don't know, Mike, it looks like this might be the other shoe dropping. I said, no, John, you need to have some faith. They're going to do it this year. And sure enough, he goes in on a trip to visit some family in Chicago. And at that time, the Cubs not only were in the National League Championship Series, but they were also in the World Series. And he said, Mike, you wouldn't believe the feeling that's going on throughout the city with all this. And he was nice enough to, get me a couple of the papers when the Cubs won the World Series, the Tribune and the Sun Times, and also some memorabilia. It's like, you got this for me? He's like, yeah, Mike, you're the only kid I knew in the high school that was a Cub fan, and we could actually talk about the game after class.
That's great.
Put in $1,000. Cubs would take the World Series when they were in the pits. The odds were like 1,000 to 1. Put in $1,000. Want to add that one up?
Hmm.
He
Ka-ching.
put it in with Vegas, so it was
Mhm.
illegal.
Tax free.
Ka-ching,
I like
ka-ching,
those
ka-ching.
odds. What was the World Series? Was it 2004? Boston took it over New York, I think.
They
that
took it
was-
over the Cardinals, and this Cub fan was happy to see the Cardinals lose.
Yeah. There was one. I know the Yankees were in it. I don't remember if it was the Boston Red
was-
Sox or
There was the 2001 World Series where it was the Yankees and the Diamondbacks, and the Diamondbacks won that game in 7.
Mhm. This has been a long-standing rivalry, going back to the 30s and 40s.
Well, if you're talking
And
about,
Yankees were always winning.
unless you're
I don't
talking about
remember what year the series was.
when the Yankees and the Red Sox were battling in the American League Championship Series in 2004, and they
That
beat
could
the
be it.
Yankees after being down 3-0, and they kept chipping back and were
Yeah.
able to beat the Yankees in 7 games. And Kurt Schilling pitched with bloody ankle, the bloody sock.
I remember hearing something about that. I don't know if it was that game I'm thinking of, but it was a huge thing because whoever the other team was, not the Yankees, they were never supposed to win anything, especially that year. And they came from behind and took whatever series it was. But it was such a big deal.
Almost sounds like when they were playing the Diamondbacks in 2001, because nobody expected the Yankees to lose to the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, it was red uniform, the red cap that they wore. I know that. I'm thinking 2003, 2004, because that's when I still lived in Allentown. I moved the year after.
Oh, really? You lived in Allentown.
Yeah. Please don't do the Billy Joel song.
No, I ain't. I will not do it.
The long suffering is a big Billy Joel fan, so I've heard that song many times.
I'm on the other side of it. I know Allentown history.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to do Billy Joel. Thank you kindly.
Yep, because that song is inaccurate as all hell. Especially the line, they've taken all the coal from the ground. There was never any coal in Allentown.
No, there weren't.
West and north.
Well, that's the problem. That's what was wrong with Allentown. They didn't have the coal. How did the guys survive?
Mm-hmm.
Can I put in something here? How about the Minnesota Twins? From worst to bottom cellar, the first, playing against the Indians. How would you like to put $100 down on the Twins back then?
Well, it wasn't the Indians, it was the Braves.
Huh?
You talk about the Atlanta Braves. It was Ted Turner's team.
You got it.
Yeah, it wasn't the Indians, it's the Braves.
From worst to first, you would have made $1 million.
Yeah, that was the 91 season. Both teams finished in last place the previous year and made it all the way to the World Series in 91.
Yes.
Wasn't that
And
the
then
great
somebody
Major League
on space that whoever said he wanted to be a wrestler, he had another name for himself. Baron, do you remember that?
What are you talking about? Ken Herbeck?
Yes.
Yeah, T-Rex.
Yep. He was a monster. He got death threats on him during that series.
Phil McCracken throwing down on you, Fats.
What?
Phil McCracken throwing down on you there. Saying you're a
Phil
Padres
can't even
fan.
spell Padres correctly. Who cares? I'm not a baseball fan. I'm Canadian, first of all, and I stopped giving a shit about baseball after the second.
The Blue Jays won the World Series twice in a row, so you can suck it. Secondly, after that, when the strike happened, I stopped caring about baseball. But thank you again, Phil. Don't you have an Arlena to find a zip for? Cheers.
Okay, that's a question.
Francis in the curling.
I got a good
Baseball
question.
died during the second strike for more money. It killed baseball.
Yeah.
It killed the fans for baseball. It killed the thing with the World Series and the fact we got the Jays winning 2 and the way it was becoming more popular. It killed baseball. The second strike killed baseball.
I can agree with you on that. I absolutely agree with you on that.
It's like listening to Leaf fans. We're going to win the playoffs. The city's all loud and rambunctious. They lose the game. They're not going to playoffs. The whole world is dead quiet. Cubs fans know about that, right?
Yes, unfortunately we do, Steven. Unfortunately we do.
We're going to get to first base. We didn't get to home base.
Okay,
That sounded like Texas last year when the Astros were playing the Braves in the World Series and they got stomped.
Yeah, and secondly, Phil, the Expos was fucking Montreal, and no, I don't like the Expos. The only thing that good came out of the Expos was a Pee Wee Herman joke.
When was that first strike? In the 80s?
Drink to that one.
The late
I'll drink to
70s,
that.
early 80s?
There was one in the early 80s.
Got caught masturbating, so his favorite baseball team was the Expos. Get it?
Yeah.
Yep, I got it. Didn't want it, but I got it.
And your old man wanted to ask a question because it looks like he's going to get angry and turn into the Hulk Santa.
Ooh.
Hulk Santa.
Okay, Fats, I got a question to ask you.
Yes.
The heck with hockey.
Thank you.
Heck with basketball. Who is your favorite Canadian football league?
I don't watch football.
American style football.
I don't watch football. I hardly
You
watch
don't?
anything. No.
You watch what we call soccer?
No.
How about rugby?
No. Literally,
No.
what I watched was baseball.
Rugby
And
is it.
Sports died with baseball, I think, in my eyes.
Yeah.
Sadly, I just don't watch it. Skateboarding, snowboarding, I used to watch stuff like that, but paintball, no, nothing.
Well, Baron is a big favorite of the All Blacks.
Yeah, well, yeah, All Blacks are the Crusaders, which is
But
part of
like Nolan Ryan, Joe Carter, Roberto Alomar, Bo Jackson, and then you had Mark McGuire, Kelly Gruber, Tony Fernandez. Yeah, I used to know the Jays pretty well. Yeah.
No, actually, I'm going to be
Kelly
serious with
Gruber.
the question. It might sound like a smart-ass question, but it's not. Do you ever watch those esports that they show on the television where they're all playing the games with
Yeah, I watch esports.
Yeah, the video game ones?
Yes, that's what esports is.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What do you think of those?
Better than CNN. Oh, we lost someone.
Yeah, unfortunately, his computer was acting up, and it was great having you on board there, Captain. Sorry, your computer was not cooperating with you.
Phil, I don't watch curling.
anything like that.
I don't watch curling either. Like, where do you get your insults? The back of a Google Canadian web search? What is this shit? You're just naming off kids. Do you like shuffleboard? Do you watch shuffleboard, Fat Steven? Yeah, I shuffle it down off the board.
Phil, I
How
know
about
how much you
bingo?
want justice for Star Trek 5, but there will be no justice for Star Trek 5.
Star Trek 5 is shit.
NASCAR? You watch NASCAR?
Yeah, what, we're making another left-hand turn? Yeah, let me get on that shit.
I'm right there with
NASCAR
you,
has
Steven.
a relative-
Go,
relevance to the
Viagra car,
King
go! No, I gave up on sports. I did.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I actually met Dale Earnhardt Jr. when I was in the Army. We had just returned back to Fort Campbell. And we met Dale Earnhardt Jr. came to Fort Campbell, and he met and signed a lot of autographs. He was a really nice guy. Really, really was nice meeting him. I will say that about NASCAR. It was
But
great
yeah, I mean,
meeting
I
Dale
agree
Earnhardt
completely
Jr.
with Fats about the strike and all that. I mean, I like watching rugby when I can. It's getting harder to watch now with all the stupidity going out there. But
I
other than
still
that,
have an
Yeah.
Oakland versus Toronto World Series championship ticket lying around somewhere.
really,
Yeah.
I got put in here. I dislike professional American sports. They're rigged. How in the hell do I want to watch $1 million players playing for a $1 billion owner in a stadium that was built by people's tax money?
You
No.
don't, sir. Sir, you don't watch it. You switch to the Victoria's
I
Secret
used-
football and
living in-
lingerie.
Yeah.
Victoria's Secret, that's a whole other matter. But
Yeah,
no,
but
Living in
they had
Texas,
women
Texas
running
is a
around
football
lingerie
state.
playing football.
I watch
Texas is a
rugby.
football state, but in the last 3 or 4 years, there's been a lot of people I know that don't even watch the Cowboys anymore. Just absolutely have given up on football and the Cowboys down here, just because of stuff like that.
How many of you ever have seen rugby?
I
Rugby,
love rugby.
rugby makes the average soccer player look like shit. Rugby makes the average
There's
American
some tough dudes.
player look like shit.
There's some tough guys. They are tough.
and
Man. I
women.
love watching rugby.
Oh yeah,
You
I
should
watch.
see the women.
But how about Australian rules football?
Sorry, what, John?
Australian rules football. I used to love watching that.
Yeah,
that was
It
fun to
was
watch.
basically soccer, football, and rugby combined into one. And
Yeah.
they had some strange rules, like you're not allowed off the field in case of serious injury, and death
You're
is
not
not considered
kidding, they got
a
weird rules.
injury. Huh?
I said,
What?
you're not a kidding. They got weird rules.
Mm-hmm. I like weird. But
I watched
I'm not into
football
the
match.
That's why you're on here. You like weird.
I watched rugby football
I was
match,
going to say that.
but I considered the ultimate match. It was Australia, their Australian troop, thank you kindly, against Japan. They had a scrum. The ball got kicked out by the hooker, and it went to the Japanese football player. He came out of the scrum running like hell. He got clotheslined by an Australian. The football went up in the air. Another Australian grabbed it, and they ran all the way down for the try. And I'm going, wow! That hooked me on rugby.
Well, see, I can see Japanese playing
I catch
baseball.
rugby.
I can't quite see them doing rugby. It just doesn't. It doesn't fit with the basic culture.
Yeah.
Oh. Did you know Phil McCracken loves watching figure skating, men's figure skating?
Mm-hmm.
He does. Okay. Well, that has given us this.
That's right, Phil. Suck it.
Poor Phil.
Well, I don't feel sorry. I don't feel sorry. It's odd. Boy, I can't talk today, can I? But that's nothing new. With the NRK or no NHK Japanese television, sometimes they'll have sumo wrestling matches. They'll show on there the highlights. It's something else to watch. That it's like,
oh yeah, it is.
And how they go, and how they go nuts about it, even in the stands as they're watching. It's like,
yeah.
I saw a sumo match between some big, huge Oriental individual against some big, huge American individual. I'm going, wait a minute. We got Caucasians sumo wrestling? It was a real interesting match.
Well, one of the big stars that they had in Japan for a while was actually that Hawaiian. They had that big Hawaiian that went over to sumo
Oh
wrestling.
yeah,
That's right.
Yeah,
He was a big,
yeah, I did
big.
see something about that.
Mhm.
Not somebody
I'm
I'd
not-
want to have sit on me.
No.
That was dark.
And I'm glad sumo wrestling is a male only sport. I don't know if I can handle watching women sumo wrestling.
oh God.
I don't think I could either.
There's a
would be
part of me
I-
that's
I-
just
I-
that curious.
That would be absolutely horrible.
I mean, I've watched women mud wrestling and what have you, but that's a whole nother spectrum.
Then you got to go to the higher class stuff where they do jello wrestling, which is a little higher, classier type of wrestling.
And then Jello pudding.
I met a
They got
female wrestler that was really big in female wrestling professionally, and Medusa was her wrestling name. Oh man, was she hot!
Mm.
She
I
was
mean,
also known as Alundra Blaze when she was in WWF.
Well,
See,
she
Mike,
was.
Mike knows his wrestling history there. I tell you.
Well, she was in a trailer, changing into her outfit for this tug of war that we were in, and all these guys were trying to peek in the windows, watching her strip. Oh, I don't want to tell you what happened to them.
She probably whipped their asses.
No, the guys outside that were running interference.
Mm.
And anyhow, she was on the wrestling team, the tug of war, that I was on. So Medusa and Larry the Axe Henning, they were all on my side. And we're wrestling against Swedes on the other side, which had Vern Gagne's kid and what have you. They set this up. So we were supposed to pull them uphill. Well, we did. We got to the top, and I felt like this is bullshit. I let go. Larry let go. Medusa let go. And they piled up like cordwood on the other side. Now we're supposed to switch sides. And now they're supposed to pull us uphill. They never made it. Well, guess what? We won.
Did they let go?
No, they didn't let go. They just
Oh,
we
they didn't
dragged
even
them
have the
across the line
revenge.
looking like a bunch of idiots. And then the third match.
It wasn't Revenge of the Nerds where all the nerds just let go.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
The Revenge of the Nerds where
The
they all
Revenge
let
of the
go.
Nerds.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we ended up with the Ludafisk trophy. The Swedes were supposed to challenge us back to win that trophy. They never did.
Well, that's because they don't want a Ludafisk trophy. It's Ludafisk.
It was a beautiful trophy.
Yeah, but it's still Ludafisk.
When they came out, Borton Volvo provided them in limousines to come up to the event because Borton was, of course, Swedish. We all rode in a straight bed truck saying Ludafisk truck on it to humiliate us. It didn't work.
No.
And
That's what you call a motivator.
I still got the damn T-shirt from that contest to this day.
Awesome.
Does it fit?
We didn't say that. I still have it.
Hardly worn.
But I'll tell you, those were some fun days back then.
Oh, well, there's a
All
lot
of
of
the
wild
stuff
times.
that happened. And I look back on it and I go, crap. there ain't a whole lot of us left to remember those fun days.
Yeah.
Now, years back, I and two friends, John Puffer and Dennis Danich, we were going to write a book. It was entitled All the Places We Have Been and All the Places We Can Never Return to Again. Subtitled, Thank God for the Statute of Limitations.
Love it. Love it. I'll buy it.
Hey, I'll tell you straight outright.
What was that you said there, John?
I'll buy it.
You said you'd buy it?
Yep.
You would
I've done all
buy it.
kinds of shit you would never believe. Believe it or not, I was a gun runner into Mexico.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Awesome.
A guy by the name of, well, I won't mention his name because I don't want to get him in trouble. He's long gone. But anyhow, Ozzy and I, he talked me into it. I didn't know what the hell I was getting into.
Yeah.
We loaded up the back end of the an international travel hall. We loaded it up with guns. We jumped over the border of the Rio Grande and we went into Mexico. We're down there. This Mexican banditos stopped us cold. They all got guns going. Oh shit, we're all gonna die.
Mm.
Anyhow, Ozzy went out there and talked to him. He spoke Spanish. I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. The next thing, these guys all gathered around the back of the truck and they were handing them these antique classic firearms for 22 friggin' rifles.
And that's how Pancho Villa got his arms for the big fight.
Oh no, this was long after Pancho.
No, this is be honest, this is when we do helping out Pancho Villa back in your younger days.
Oh shit. I can't believe it. I was shitting in my pants. I was scared shitless. I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah.
And we made all these deals. And Ozzy said, oh, we got some really great pieces here. We do. We do.
I don't love it.
We came back over the border into the U.S. illegally.
Mm.
Look at what we got. They're going to go into my firearms collection. They go, yeah. And I damn near mounted on the wall.
Wow.
Take care, Fats. Good
Yep.
seeing you. Glad you came by.
Exactly.
Love you, Fats. Thank you for coming in.
But we're at about the 12:15 mark, so it's kind of getting a little late here, and I'm a wimp and have to get up in the morning.
Who gives a shit?
Exactly. That's what
Me
I
too,
say every
I'm still
morning.
here. I gotta
I
be
am
hospital at 6
Come
in the
on,
morning.
burn the midnight oil.
Wendy, I'm glad you're here.
I burned my oil out
Oh, I'm glad that you're
yesterday.
here too. I love you guys.
I'm so glad you came in and joined us.
Yeah.
And
Aw,
Pacific, when
I
are you?
couldn't
When you're
miss
going to
it.
have that? When you're having that one, you're going to have the sports and
Sports and pop culture. That's going to be on the 14th.
on the 14th. Okay.
Yeah.
So definitely one to catch on there for people who like sports and are part of the little community that we have on there.
Even if you don't like sports anymore, but at one point you did. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Pacifica,
Definitely.
I owe you a great apology. I've never, ever subscribed.
Oh, you better.
You can beat the shit out of me if you want.
What day
I
is
always
it? What day is it that you guys are on, Mike? What
I'm
day
sorry,
are you
Wendy?
guys on? What day is it of the week?
As far as if you're referring to Tuesday Night Trick, we're usually on Tuesdays, but Paul's sister came into town, so he wanted to spend some time with her. But as far as my own programs, I usually have a pop culture show called Pop Talk every Wednesday at 8 and then Sunday mornings at 11.
Hmm.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Sometimes I join in with that one if I'm coherent.
Well, you're on Wednesdays at
I
8.
know the days of the week. I know the algorithm means you have to have certain days of the week if you really want to do better. That's why I was
Oh,
wondering.
we have here the lovely, the
Oh,
talented,
Rough
Oh,
Girl.
Rough Girl's here.
Hi, rough girl.
my bodyguard,
Hi,
as I
Rough
like to
Girl.
ask her. I
Hello,
always
Rough
gotta
Girl.
see bigger to be my bodyguard.
She's your
Always.
bodyguard. I'm your nurse.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you
And
for
sometimes,
coming in, Rough Girl.
yes.
But
And by the way, I put Mike's link there in the chat, so take a look there. You can use that to get to his site, and definitely subscribe to Mike. Let's get his numbers up there a little bit, folks.
As I like to say on my channel, since I came up with the slogan a couple months ago, I'm not just a baseball guy, I'm an all around guy. What I mean by that is I do episode reviews, movie reviews, a little bit of video game play, and sometimes I'll just put up a short and, be silly, just try to make people laugh.
that's the one thing I got to put in here right now. Baron,
Mm.
you have not done any good video shorts like you did.
I mean, earlier today, you mean? Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
the lost Wendy. Oh, yeah, I know. I got to get those going again. I've been talking.
Damn right you do.
And by the way, I got Rough Girls link in the chat there. So giving Rough Girls some love there. Please subscribe to her as well.
Very cool.
She is a wonderful one. And yeah, I got to get some of those.
Wonderful.
Very wonderful. I still don't understand her obsession of jumping out of airplanes, but hey.
Hey,
Their own.
Is fun.
I did that a hell of a lot of times.
Me too. That's fun. I like it.
Well-
I was terrified the first time they made me do it.
I gotta confess, I never jumped. I was kicked out.
I never jumped. I went back down the ladder to the tarmac.
Well, I jumped out of the plane onto the tarmac. So when I wasn't working in the airline, so I can say I've done that. So that's the most I can say in that
I'll
area.
tell you one truthful thing. When I was they had me flying in an NVA, North Vietnam, C-47. I was supposed to jump out of that. And they got me up to the door. I took a look at the light went green. I'm supposed to jump. I'm fooling with the equipment, and I go, da-da-da-da. The guy pulled me aside and went, what's wrong? I looked at him, and I said, I forgot the name of the Indian chief. The guy kicked my ass out of the damn plane, and I could sideways.
God.
So I can go back and tell you truthfully, I never jumped from an airplane. I was kicked out every time. Now, anyone who knows the C-130, when they lower the ramp for you exit, you run down the ramp, and about halfway down the ramp, you don't jump, get sucked out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was my big experience with airborne. Thank you kindly.
See, me, I've run halfway down the ramp and changed my mind.
Yeah.
And
Halfway
still
down the ramp, you're fucked.
After the first time, whenever they made me step out, I wasn't very thrilled about it, but I did it. This was in the Army back in the late 80s. And I was terrified. But once I was there and I was coming down, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. After that, it was like, hell yeah.
See,
They
I've
didn't tell
always
me
been
ever again.
afraid.
I was ready.
I've always been afraid that somebody really would put an anvil in my parachute. Because that's how my life.
Since I was a combat nurse, I figured they wouldn't do that to me because they needed me to help them if they got hurt.
Of course, I also put in the chat there not only Rough Girl's channel, since she's so lovely to stop by. I got Fats in there as well, and I also have Captain Trex, or now he's Captain Fandom Nerd. So since he was on there, so put those all on there for people if they wish to subscribe to those as well. And I, like I said, I do. Yeah, that's right. And I did get Pacific in there, so
Don't
I'm
forget.
doing better at this. I'm doing better.
I mean, we got so many great people in here. I can't even begin to tell you. And so many great people that have programs. Whatever you want to call them. I call them programs. But to miss out on them, you're really, really missing out.
You're right. You're absolutely right, old man.
Well,
Okay.
I consider
Okay.
my channel an extension of me.
That's it.
Who wants
I
to
don't
go
have
to
time for
John?
a channel.
Everybody
I don't have
knows
time
you.
for. I just come to Baron because I don't have time to make a channel.
And you're always welcome on there. So
Oh, I think.
and
Thank you.
and of course, Fat Steven, unfortunately, he was having some bad internet
Oh.
issues. So, but of course, like I
That's
said, I got his channel in there.
great.
Mm-hmm. Always enjoyed
And
being with
so
him.
specific.
So, does
Although I
anybody
go
have
into
any?
his channel,
What?
I
Who?
was going to say, does anybody have anything they want to promote here? Trying to start winding it up here and call it tonight. Anybody Pacific? Well, Wendy, of course, I know you're with sitting in the crowds there with Doomcock, and you do stuff with Raymond on his channel. You're part of the pod, swimming around as you are, John. I know you are, and
Yep.
I'm going to pop in there one of these days again and swim around with you guys.
Awesome. And have you seen Fed for Hire's Pod People graphic that he put up? You're on that.
You're on it
Oh, I
too.
am.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
I better
are.
take a look at that. Oh, okay. That Fett's amazing. I love that man. I really do.
He's amazing.
He is
Cool guy.
Yeah, I mean, I can sit back and say Fats is a great guy. He has such a wonderful heart. Fit for Hire has an incredible heart. You guys, all you guys, you have wonderful hearts, and I'm always amazed when I do these and I'm dealing with everybody here and enjoy the time that I have with you all. And this is one of the times where I just kind of sit back a little bit more and just shut up and let the other people talk because, again, the great stories that come out and what you can hear, the laughs and things to make you think about. So that's why I enjoy this open mic night, and I'm glad you all joined in there. Anybody else have anything they want to say? Last parting comments? Anything to promote?
I do have one thing to say.
Ooh,
Everybody in here are absolutely, totally the most tremendous people that I can think of and know. And I'm so privileged to be in here and allowed to be in here with all of you. You know, over the time span, I've come to love every one of you dearly and deeply. The other part I want to say is some of the people who didn't come in here tonight in the All Talk, I know who you are. You are all absolutely fantastic people. Please.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Thank you, Candy.
I love Bender.
Like button.
Yeah.
And join in and share.
Yep.
You know, we're a community. And I'm an old fat man. And yeah, I know I got connections with Baron. But I get connections with Pacifica, John, and a lot of others that I can't even mention at the moment.
Don't forget Wendy, the lovely Wendy.
Oh, yeah, definitely, Wendy.
I was going to slap you around for leaving her out. You can't leave
I'll
her
make
out.
her on the face for that one. I deserve.
I prefer to be forgettable, believe it or not.
No, you are not forgettable.
No, not at all.
Believe me.
I'm an
Yeah.
under the radar type person.
to our group tonight, you definitely are great.
Oh, I appreciate it. You're such a wonderful guy. All of you are. I love you guys.
And Wendy, for the rest of my life, when I hear the two words boob armor, I'm always going to think of you.
As long as you think of me, that's what counts. That's all I want.
And I'm still going to get together with you on how to do pipe. I have not forgotten about that. I just so we'll do something on how to do the pipe.
Burn, when did they get together with Wendy all about her quilts? Because it's unbelievable.
I would love to have you talk about the quilting and showing more of your wonderful work there. It just amazing.
I've had such a stressful, I've been a nurse now. Last week was my 30-year anniversary as a nurse. And I've spent that 30 years as either a combat nurse or a trauma surgical nurse or now the director of trauma services over at a big level 1 hospital down here in South Texas. And I just absolutely need something that calms me. And I've been quilting since I made my first quilt when I was 11 years old with my grandma. I've got her sewing machine. I've made a lot of my quilts on her old sewing machine. And it's just something that's always been very calming for me after my stressful job. Something I can just walk away from and it makes me think of something else.
Yeah. My late mother was a registered nurse for 30 years. First started off in the ICU, then moved to pediatrics, and one of the things she liked to do was craft.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
my daughter-in-law is a pediatric nurse. And I can't believe my son married a nurse because he doesn't want to hear anything that I ever had to say about being a nurse.
Now he has no choice.
Now he has no choice. But I give her, you know what? Everything I've done, pediatrics were always the hardest for me. Last year we had a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, 2 little girls involved in a drive-by shooting down here.
Oh no.
And we could not save either one of them. And that's something that just breaks my heart to this day. It was the 1-year-old's first birthday party. And she was shot in the head in a drive-by.
Oh no.
And we took her to the OR and we tried to save her, but she succumbed to her injuries 24 hours later. Her 4-year-old sister had been shot in the chest, and we took her up to surgery and her heart was blown apart. There really wasn't anything we could do for her.
It's sad to hear.
Anybody that can do pediatrics, my hat is off to them because that's some of the hardest things I've seen in the private sector.
Yeah.
I still think about the friends I lost in Afghanistan, and it kills me.
Yeah.
I couldn't help them, But my hat's off to the pediatric nurses.
That's the thing, and that bit that happened yesterday. I mean, that had to tear those people apart.
It did. That I had to actually take the 1-year-old out of her arms. And, I basically had to beg her, let me try. Let me try. Because the police wouldn't do it because the child had been injured and they didn't want to touch the injured child in a hospital.
Yeah.
She walked in with the baby in her arms. And so it was like, no, a nurse or a doctor needs to touch her. So I walked up and said, let me have her, let us try.
Right.
But,
God bless you for trying.
Yeah.
We always try.
You have my admiration always.
Our trauma motto is you expect the best, we give nothing less. So
there we go.
Try.
I know you guys live up to it.
I
was gonna say,
Vietnam with an 8mm German Mauser round. It entered into my pelvic region, exited out just above my anus. I was bleeding profusely.
Yeah.
And the medic had to stop enough of the bleeding. They got me back to a MASH unit, and a nurse there was actually successful in stopping the bleeding. Otherwise, I would have died.
Yeah.
It
a
was
lot of vessels
that
down there.
nurse that saved my life. I ended up shipped off to Japan. Japan shipped me to the U.S. They couldn't take me in San Francisco, so they dumped me to Denver, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So
there, they saved my life. The doctor that operated on me told me, he said, "Boy, you're glad I like putting the puzzles together."
Yeah.
Eat a few of those.
And believe me, you have no idea how much I love combat nurses.
I tried my best with all the guys out in the field being shot at. You know, I was out there with them, and I couldn't save all of them, and I still think of them every day. They sacrificed, but they're not forgotten.
That's the thing. None of us are Superman, but
Right.
you're as close as any of us are ever going to get.
No.
Well, let me tell you, where the bullet exited, I don't have one, but I got two assholes.
Yeah. Makes them a big one. So there we go. So as for me, I just want to let people know, of course, as we finish up here, of course, I got to do my shameless plugs here. So I'll be with Gary in the mornings. Not you, Dad. I'll be with a minefield pulp culture minefield. There we go. I can't talk today. The Saturday morning show that's usually at noon Central Standard Time at Pulp Culture Minefield. I've been added on to Master Paul's Tuesday night treks for I don't know what ungodly reason. He seems to think that I know Star Trek. So I'm more than happy to join that one. That's usually about 8 o'clock Central Time at the Star Wars Guys. Every Wednesday, of course, here. But how can I be remiss by not bringing these guys up? The Primetime Kings. You can find me with 24/7 Fusion Media, who popped in here today, Fat Steven Seagal, and of course Vigilante Williamson. He's actually taking a little bit of a sabbatical, but catch us at 5:15 generally Central Standard Time on Sunday at 24/7's channel. So invite everybody to join along for the fun.
Join in.
So
24/7 just followed me on Twitter. I don't even know what to say. If he's listening, thank you.
Yeah, he does like to lurk. So I have to make sure I say good things. No, I love that guy. He and I, he is definitely my brother from their mother in a different state down there in Texas too. So,
You gotta say that.
I have
24
many reasons.
even likes me.
Mm-hmm. I have several reasons to come down and visit Texas. Him, Vigilante, you, Wendy.
Iron Man.
You and the long-suffering can come stay at our house at in the Fort Mansfield, Texas. We have a little fishing house there.
Mm-hmm.
You guys need to come down.
I know she'd love that. Sit out there, look out at the golf.
Direct TV.
Well, I want to thank every single one of you for joining me today. It was fun. It's amazing that it's hard to believe it's been 2.5 hours, but time is fun when you're having flies, says the frog.
Can I put in a shot?
Hmm.
I want to thank each and every one of you for allowing me, and I do mean that literally, allowing me to be part of this. Thank you all. I love you.
I love you. I love John.
Thank you, old man.
Mike, it's a pleasure to meet you. I hadn't met you before. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
It's nice to meet you, Wendy.
Go ahead.
Haven't I seen you in Doomcock's chats before, Wendy?
Yep, I've been in Doomcock's chats. I actually did his Halloween show last year. I was on camera. So.
Yeah. And, this is one of the things that makes Wednesday the best day of the week for me right now is I get to go right from King Dolphin TV and have dinner and come up on this one. So,
there we be.
I agree, John.
very good.
I need
And
better hours so I can catch these shows.
Well, I was
I
gonna
gotta get
say
going soon.
And
Wednesday
Pacific
seems to be
Island,
a good day for all of us to do a live stream because we at least get people that stop by, even if they're just lurking, they still stop by.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I got to
Exactly.
get to your specific because, right from Raymond to you to Baron Norman tag, that's awesome. That's
Yep.
like my old Tuesday nights on NBC back in the 80s.
There we go.
That was
We
the
had the
time
8
slot. That was the night, wasn't it? That was
Yep.
the night.
That was.
The A-Team, Remington Steele, and I forget the other. But, and of course, after that was the news and then Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
That was
Did you
the great night.
did you say news?
Tonight at 11.
Yeah.
Doom!
There we go.
I love Momo.
So with that, I'm going to bid everybody that's in the, of course, on the panel, everybody who's in the chat, people who are lurking out there, all of you, thank you so much. You're the ones that make all this possible and let us have fun. I love you all, and thank you again for joining me. You all have
Thank
a
you.
great night.
Thank you.
You too.